Thank you. Good morning. Our work is okay. Our work in this matter is to mobilize substantial amounts of investment in energy efficiency in buildings. And our level of ambition is very high in this matter. You can see our recently published energy review. It was published in July. And you will see the amount of change we want to do to boost substantially these investments in Europe and elsewhere. And I will give you, well, first we noticed already from mid last year an enormous amount of initiatives that are coming to us to be supported. And I must say my team is more than fully booked at the moment, our efficiency team, because of the amount of real initiatives that are being presented to us. And I will give you a snapshot of what we are doing by giving you some examples. I will start first by give you what the issues are from our experience. So first, energy efficiency is not a sector. It is an investment that is taking place in many sectors, across all the sectors of the economy, right? So the normal tools that one uses to boost a sector, which is providing finance to the sector of renewables or providing finance to the sector of cement or whatever, doesn't work in this matter. So you have to have a combination of policies and instruments in order to incentivize these investors, being a household or being an SME, to do this investment, change the priorities, understand what they have to do, etc. So first message is that we need this mix of policies if we want really to boost investments. But finance plays an important role because it has a catalytic role in terms of boosting this investment. And secondly, when there is lack of finance, it's always an indication of there is other problems behind which are making this happen, right? So it's a very good indicator of what's going on in practice. And usually, what the work is, when we talk about finance, the work is not convincing the banks to finance it. The work is using bank finance to convince the final users to invest in energy efficiency. It's a bit the other way around, right? So now I go into what we do at the EIB. So first, our lending in energy efficiency has been in the last few years between 1 and 2 point something billion per year. So it's very large. As I said, it is growing. So you will see hopefully next year an increase, but it's growing also interestingly with a lot of innovative pilot cases, which I think are examples of things one can do in the future. Out of this total, half, well, more than half, because half is buildings, but you have also 30% going to combined heat and power. And a lot of this combined heat and power is district heating networks, etc., which also supply energy to buildings. So it's more than half is buildings. And I think it will be like this in the future, right? Okay. Oh. No. Next. Yeah. Okay. What is the EIB contribution to promote energy efficiency, to develop energy efficiency investments? First thing is mainstreaming energy efficiency in all the projects we finance. Because as I said, it's not a sector, it's across all the sectors, so we have to promote energy efficiency everywhere. I mean, an example of that is, for instance, in social housing, where we have We provide significant amounts of finance, and we try to influence, to promote more energy efficiency social housing, for instance. And in some cases, it has been very easy because they were planning to do it, and we see an increasing attention to energy efficiency in social housing or public buildings in general. But in others, it was not so easy. I mean, you have to convince and show that it's possible, and sometimes you have to help in creating a unit there that has the technical capacities to change the way they do it. Right? Second is provide support to promoters and financial intermediaries to develop energy efficiency projects or investments. This can be technical assistance. I'll give you some examples of what we are doing in technical assistance. Developing financial instruments adapted to each particular situation. Give some examples as well. That has been done on our own behalf, but often in cooperation with the European Commission. So the main instruments specifically dedicated to energy efficiency in the European Union, we have many others outside the Union, but in the European Union we have the ELENA, which I think you must know, you maybe know. ELENA has been very successful. Up until now, we have distributed 35 million, and we expect to trigger 2.5 billion euros in investment, so it is enormous. And it's just technical assistance, because we knew from our experience in project development that in public sector, this is for the public sector, the issue very often is to have the technical capacities to develop these programs. Jessica, it's developing of urban funds using structural funds. We have several operations. Lithuania has been mentioned as an example. We have another fund in Spain, REDay. We have in London, another which I will present later. This obviously, this type of initiatives will expand dramatically in the next programming period, because as the structural funds dedicated to energy efficiency will go from commitments today at 10 billion, will go up to 20 billion. And in addition, we expect that the approach of using structural funds for energy efficiency and small renewables will change in the next period. So going more into financial instruments, less into direct grants to small projects to achieve higher leverage and technical assistance. I think we need to have both. We need to have change the way we use structural funds, Jessica as an example, to achieve higher leverages, and have significant technical assistance components to ensure that there are enough projects to use all these funds. Then we have the EEF, is a fund with to support ELENA-type projects. And we are working now in a new initiative, which is named Deep Green, which we also expect to have Commission support, which have several components, one for banks, another for ESCOs, another for utilities, another for public sector. So it's a lot, as I said, going on, because we think that we need to have both dedicated instruments, always simple. I think let's not think that what we need is sophistication. At the contrary, the simple, the better, because it's less costly and it's easier to apply. Yeah, another change we have introduced in the new energy review is our eligibility criteria. So we have broadened and simplified our eligibility criteria. That's another, yes. So we have simplified the eligibility. See, the order is a bit different. We are streamlining the approach for small projects and using a list of projects, say a window which class X that then is eligible, and then roof insulation is eligible, and so on, defining that in our financing, often through banks. Support to roll out near zero energy buildings. We are starting to have that as well. So we want to support the national programs to move into more efficient buildings, right? And we have expanded our possibilities of supporting this. This is, I think, will also constitute a significant part of our support. Deployment of new or innovative energy efficiency technology, I think, is also an important component, right? Only temporarily during the period where they go from the early market penetration phase up to a significant market penetration phase. And all this is presented in the new energy review just published in July. And now I want to give you some examples that you see more concretely what we are doing. Is obviously a snapshot of the type of things we are doing. A typical one is EIB finance going through what we call FI, meaning financial intermediaries, banks in general. Then either we use a policy in place that identifies the type of investments and follow and ensure that the investments that we support are real energy efficient investments. This is very important. So an example is what we are now doing in Austria. No? In Austria there is a scheme which supports the financing of energy efficiency in private buildings, defines types of investments which are eligible. The banks knows what they can finance through this scheme. There is a combination of grants with finance, and then we can complement with EIB finance this structure. In other cases where this is not in place, then we can develop the scheme ourselves. So we put in place a technical unit, which the work for the technical unit is less supporting the banks, but more ensuring that the actual investments are real energy efficiency investments, right? This is fundamental. And ex-post verification later. Also supporting final beneficiaries with to perform good audits and so on, right? Another example is the London Green Fund. This is an example of a type of a structure which we think we will develop often in a structural in using structural funds to support energy efficiency. So we'll have a funding mechanism which is adapted to the different issues. So if so we have, well, the waste is obviously not relevant here, but we have this fund, the energy efficiency fund, which supports the development of energy efficiency using ESCOs in public buildings. And the preparation of the tenders is supported by ELENA. So ELENA supports the preparation of tenders, yes, and the finance is through the fund. Here we have another component, which is the social housing component, where you have the classical social housing with high energy efficiency, which is supported by very competitive loans from combining grants with loans. This is an example, but I think you have many other cases of this kind. So now I come to my conclusion. Two slides. One is our preferred approaches, and I put two cases. One is the public sector, where we think the key issue is having a specialized energy efficiency unit, and ELENA is an example, which focus on developing the investments with a clear indicator. This is important for us, is that we don't provide technical assistance per se. We link the technical assistance to actual investments. This is for us fundamental, because there is a lot of technical assistance which is often wasted in general studies. Here we have to have, we give monies provided that at least you invest 20 times the grant you get in actual projects, right? So this is the case of ELENA. Then grants are only used for technical assistance or for measures with long payback. We have seen also a lot of grants misused to replace boilers which are profitable. Why do you need grants to replace a boiler, right? ESCOs for renovation is often a good idea, although if there is enough technical capacity in the public sector, it is not absolutely necessary, and tighter regulations for new buildings, as I said before. And then facilitate access to finance, notably when you are in situation of debt-constrained countries, which is now the case in most of the in all the Southern European countries, for instance. Then for private buildings is a bit different. Well, you have to combine technical assistance, grants, and loans. I think it's the classical approach I will not develop. You have to have grants, technical assistance, regulations, and different approaches depending on the owners. So, and this is the last slide. Conclusions. First, we see, well, these are not really the conclusions, but anyway, I tell you what the conclusions that we see now a real growing interest in energy efficiency, and I think the EIB is very supportive in all these initiatives we are now getting to develop energy efficiency. We need, as I said, with the right mix of policies, we think we can achieve the scale we need to achieve our objectives. And the EIB supports this development through blending structural funds with EIB finance, to supporting national initiatives, technical assistance. So we are all in all the areas we think we should be to really be effective in terms of supporting this major sector. Thank you very much.